I remember the days of super fights with guys like Mike Tyson. I mean, literally, I would get up with my guys. We would go to the store, get our drinks, get our food. One of my boys' uncle would always throw the fight whenever I didn't have the fight because I always made sure I got the fight. But when I didn't, we would all chip in on the fight. It'll be a big pot in the middle of the floor when the fight got ready to start. Now, his narrative was come in here and have all the fun you want during the prelims. But when it's fight time, there's a big bowl, bigger than a guacamole bowl, punch bowl, wedding punch bowl, full. Drop your money in there. You're eating food, you're eating buffalo wings. He would always have buffalo wings, pizza, meatballs, everything that you could want because a super fight brings a different mindset. It touches on different nerves in your whole DNA and what is required to put on a super fight or to build one of yourself when you are an athlete or when you are in the management business and you have these up and coming athletes and they think they know what to do. Well, this is what this conversation is going to be about because I just got the opportunity to really look at the Floyd Mayweather versus Gotti. I saw that and I realized one thing. What most athletes are going to have trouble with moving forward, and they will figure it out because I know the youngsters that are under the Misfit brand over with KSI have figured this out, right? So when you see these guys, they already have their mindset to build a fan base so they can get tickets, they can do these pay-per-view events. But one of the things that I saw is Floyd is fighting Gotti. They did the press conference, and for some reason, I just had an interest to see how are they handling this? It's an exhibition. And lo and behold, Floyd done pulled in Richard Schaefer, which is former CEO of Golden Boy during Golden Boy's heyday. I mean, when he was fighting super fights still against Hopkins, against Shane Mosley, against all of the top fighters that made him who he was. Richard Schaefer is now playing that role with Floyd Mayweather. Now, Floyd Mayweather is no dummy. He knows he's not the box office fighter, but he's still making more than guys that got titles because he understood one thing. He took one moment, and he spoke directly to thanking everybody on his team. And just the other day, I did a post talking about how many people played a role in our team. We had 12 members and 14 when you stretch back and forth, two or three will rotate. When you are doing events like this, and I'm not to brag, but I still got the record in the RBC Center. Now they done changed the name, but I still had the standing record for filling more seats because of my role. But it's not about me. This is about understanding what he understood. It wasn't about he was so much greater than, anybody. He just understood how to assemble a team. So did Canelo, De La Hoya. He has key people playing roles that he has to pay a whole lot of money to play the role, but their role is so important. And for the young fighters, you always hear me come at you about being on top of your shit when it comes down to knowing that you got a fan base coming to you, right? But that's just one part of it, right? When you build a super fight up, like Mike Tyson did, the same way that Sugar Ray Leonard did, they used to go on press tours. So they would go to Texas, they would go to New York, they would go to California, they would go to Florida, they would go to all of the major beat cities in the best fan base driven, and of course Las Vegas, because typically the fight would be at Caesar's Palace, and it would more than likely be there or Trump Towers. Either way, super fights had a different feel now, right? The closest thing that I can think reflected it was when Conor McGregor and Floyd fought. That's kind of what it used to always be. That's how they used to market it. There was not social media. Any television coverage you had to pay for it unless it was back in the days, the ABC. When that was going on, the most beautiful part about it is when you would see those guys at the press conference, they'd fight most of the time, or they'd Marvelous Marvin Hagler and Thomas Hearns before they had their fight. Hearns was just sick and tired of just being in the face of Hagler, and Hagler being the warrior that he was, he just got tired of just looking at Hearns because he was just like Hearns was a talker and Hagler was a fighter. And Hagler said it like, I just want to punch him in his head at this thing. But that's what the press conferences would do. But see, those things are expensive. You got all the fighters in their team. You got to fly them from one state to another. And then you got to get all of those media personnel and all the vendors and do all the deals with all of the people that are play role and sponsor and getting all of these different endorsements and stuff with people and brand ambassadors, and having the right team is important. So I hope y'all don't just think it's like you put on your hand wraps and your coach puts your mouthpiece in and that's what the sport is. Because until you understand the entirety of it, I'm going to play a clip with Andre Ward and Matchroom Boxing CEO, and they just had this conversation. And to be honest, it was great timing because it just went up a few hours ago. So I'm just gonna play seconds at a time, and because I'm already paying top rank, you know, so I want to make sure that I ain't using too much of what's going on at one time. So bear with me, but I'm going to give you one bullet point at a time. But the key is just pay attention that there are components that I'm going to start introducing you guys to. And I know it because I was versed in having to do it. And that shit is a lot of work, but it pays off, but it's exhausting, but it pays off. And that's where you see these individuals doing these pay-per-view numbers. But I was truly impressed with these guys. But check it out. This is just a clip.
So I saw you and Terrence have a little back and forth the week of the fight. First of all, why do you do that with the fighters?
Because it's my job to create narrative, noise, conversation, right? When you got two guys like Crawford and Madrimov, no one's really going to say anything.
Okay. Now, I'm going to tell you the components of a fight that have to happen. First of all, I'm reading off the board because I got something that I wanted to share with you. So if you are in a fight game at all, combat at all, period, MMA, boxing, kickboxing, slap, doesn't matter. These are the components that you're going to need to have front and center, right? Number one, you're going to need a buzz. So how do you create a buzz? So sometimes you can do a lot of cool stuff if you got to look like maybe the way that Jeff Lacy look. If you don't know who Jeff Lacy was, then Google Jeff Lacy. He was absolutely electric. They thought he would be the super middleweight version of Mike Tyson. He was an absolute shark inside of that ring until he met Joe Calzaghe, a pure boxer. You got to have something like that, or you have to be as dynamic as Mike Tyson. See, Mike Tyson wasn't just the person that created the buzz in the ring. They would show clips of Mike Tyson. Of course, you know this because you know Mike Tyson. Still, today, at almost 60 years old, you can see a clip of Mike Tyson, although slowed down just a tad, is as electric as anybody still. So you just imagine 30 years ago, right? 30 years ago, this dude was absolutely unstoppable. He's the only person that can get in his own way. So when you think about the buzz, that's one thing. So how do you create the buzz, right? Don't leave this out because there like 15 key components, but you have control over like 6 of them. So you must know what they are because there's no class for this. So I'm going to give you game so that you don't get caught out there on Quiz Street and don't understand it. And then whenever you're trying to get a fight, I've had 100 people this week alone that say they just have no control over getting a fight. They don't have any say so, and that's why, because they have no buzz. They have a regular social media, a couple of good videos at best. I'm talking to you. You got too many things going on, so you just keep forgetting, or you just come up with a good idea, but you don't start, and you don't really understand it. You're just posting stuff, and it's about absolutely not a lot. That's not a buzz. You're going to always have trouble, but I'm going to teach you how to get the buzz. All right. So you got to have buzz and there has to be chatter. So we can't chatter about you planting fruit. So there has to be chatter. Like when you hear about chatter, that's what Ryan Garcia is strong at. He's strong at creating chatter. What? Guess what Ryan said? Guess what Ryan did? See, all of these things, they all play a role in the sport of boxing, see? And when you start understanding how important it is to do this the right way, then you'll find yourself in a much better position in boxing. So, chatter. So, you got to do things, even if it's Muhammad Ali would go as far as to take, hold on one second. Muhammad Ali was go as far as taking a bus, even after getting the fight, or when he was calling out. You can Google this. This is on YouTube. You can find this on YouTube. He go as far as to get a bus and crank it up with a bus full of his buddies, his team, Bodini, and all those boys, and they would drive all the way to wherever it was that we call him the big ugly bear. And he would go to Sonny Liston's crib. He'd take the bus and drive on his lawn. Not that he was just driving on his lawn, but he was driving on his lawn at 2 a.m. in the morning with his family there, blowing the horn, waking up the neighbors. That creates conversation. That is Muhammad Ali's tactic, but you don't have to go that route. But another thing that he did was he went to Joe Frazier's town and told everybody that Joe Frazier was broke. When you think about the kind of tactics that he did to create buzz, front page stuff, he understood when he walked out with that red and white robe on that he didn't want to see an empty seat in the place. And whether you came to see him win or came to see him lose, you came to see him because you had to pay for a ticket. And he wanted that arena filled. And that was part of his job. And he understood that after doing 15 miles some days, because I know of it because one of his best friends was a client of mine. And his name was Isaiah. So special shouts out to you, Isaiah. And he literally tried to run with Muhammad Ali one day. And this was in between the time that Muhammad Ali was banned from boxing and couldn't get a license because he refused to take part in the military because he didn't believe in killing and because of his Muslim faith and beliefs. So this is during that time, but he was still training and he did a 10-mile day. And so he wasn't even in fight shape, but he was in shape and he was doing 10 miles. So even though when he was fighting and had his license back, he'd go and he'd do, obviously he was doing more miles when he was fighting guys like Joe Frazier, George Foreman, Sonny Liston. He was in crazy shape. He'd still go do the pressers with those journalists, sit down with Howard Cosell, travel the country to country, to UK, doing media. And imagine him with social media. He was social media. He got better social media than everybody does still. And he's been gone for like 6, 7 years, 8 years, 9 years, about 2015, 2016. But back to the point. The point is, after doing those miles, sparring against Larry Holmes, working like a freaking dinosaur to be in shape, he'd still go and do the promoting of his fight in a way that people would be there and the interest was there. So he created a buzz. The next thing is curiosity. So you fight people that you are going to keep things buzzing. Curiosity is, I remember when he fought, and I'm using him, but let's take the fact when Canelo fought Erislandy Lara, and people thought that Erislandy Lara was going to beat him, right? And there was a lot of curiosity around this fight. And even when Pacquiao fought Floyd Mayweather, there was a lot of curiosity. Another fight was when Calzaghe fought Jeff Lacey. As I mentioned a little earlier, that he was very, very confident that he was going to win. And I'm talking about Joe Calzaghe, but Jeff Lacey was putting guys' heads to bed. Go pull up Jeff Lacey highlights. And my boy Otis fought him. So special shouts out to my co-host on the fight show, my man Otis Griffin, former world champion, TV star, first out of the gate. And like when you think about this, the curiosity, people were really, really curious. How is this going to play out? And then you look at fights as recent as Ryan Garcia versus Devin Haney. It was so much curiosity because everybody was wondering, was Ryan putting on the whole entire time? Why is this guy able to pull this off? And what's the deal? The fact of the matter is, the reason why you bought that fight is because of the level of curiosity. And then the other factor is, what are they going to be curious about with you? What tactics can you use? See, these are the things that I'm going to create a visual for you, because I'm going to host a conversation during the week that make sure, if you haven't subscribed to masterboxingllc.com, that you do that, because there will be, I guess we're going to have 25 people that can make it. The last one we did last week sold out as far as attendance. So this time we're going to keep it nice and tight again, because we want a unique, just the people who really, really want to know, and we can kind of know who you are, because we know if you're really in the fight game, everything's going to say your profile. If you got a good chance, then you'll have a better chance, because we're going to look at your social media first. No one gets in if your social media is trash, because that means you're going to be a non-factor in the real sport of boxing, because boxing is a business. Go get your game up. So curiosity. And the next thing is team members. You got to know how to assemble a team. So one of the things that we're going to tell you guys, we're going to teach you all of the roles that have to be filled, right? I could go through them right now, but I already kind of have given you an insight of, there has to be some roles played, and you got to get these roles filled. And 80% of them have to do with being inside of your camp, and then they have to play extended roles. So I'll show you what our team roles were during this conversation as well, so you can understand what you're probably missing, what you need to acquire, and then the external roles that you'll have to have filled, because in order to put on a super fight, you have to have a team of people to get on the radar of the people who only see people who have that dynamo effect. They have that sizzle. They have that firecracker blowing out of their ass, because it's obvious they're going to be box office. So you only want to deal with people that have that potential. That's why Eddie Hearn is bringing out all of this smoke. That's why you see all of these great fight cards, because he got great fighters who have that full potential. And those guys, they'll never see you unless you have that special thing. And if you got that special thing, then you got to have assembled a team. Okay. Because it's going to take all of you. They don't want to carry somebody. Look at how much work that Terrence Crawford had to do. He was pound for pound. He's been pound for pound and champion. Two unified in two weight classes. See, that's what has to happen when you don't understand building a brand. I love Terrence Crawford, but his weak point is understanding how to build a brand up. And I love that guy. I think he's a bonus to the world of boxing. I think his demeanor, his family presence is all good, but this is business. And people who are in high places and high regard and they spend millions of dollars to create an event to happen, and then you go and then in the next event it's not even filled to the capacity after having the fight build up over the past year in 2023, and then this year it's hard to get the arena filled to capacity if it wasn't for the promoter promoting and pushing buttons during this thing. So I'm gonna let you guys hear this before I tell you the next thing, and you won't be able to guess this because this is good. But here's Eddie Hearn again.
Right? I would never go up to a fighter and say, right, at this head to head, you need, and actually, like I've been in the game a long time. It actually still fascinates me that actually happens, where fighters will agree to like have a little bit of an argy-bargy, like
Sure.
you were the kind of guy, I know, and I was involved with you really just for the Super Six, Paul Smith fight, and you weren't that guy, like, and nor's Terrence, right? And
you get it? You got to create something, like I just said a minute ago. Chatter, buzz, curiosity, they're not the same thing. A buzz is even when no one's talking, it's in the air. When Mike Tyson was going to fight, the buzz was in the air. When Floyd and Pacquiao were going to fight, the buzz was in the air. Conor McGregor, Mayweather, Oscar De La Hoya, Fernando Vargas, the buzz. Trinidad Vargas, buzz. You know what I'm saying? When you talk about Trinidad De La Hoya, Shane Mosley, Oscar De La Hoya, it was a buzz. It was crazy. You couldn't escape it. That's what we're talking about. When you talk about buzz, when Habib Nurmagomedov fought Conor McGregor, you couldn't escape it. Even boxing fans started saying, I might watch a little bit of that MMA, You can't escape a buzz. And so that's what every promoter looks for. That's what every company who supports boxing looks for. The local companies that are regular local businesses, they hope that that next guy comes out that way and he can bring that smoke. When you're an understanding of what you have to do, guess what? My dude, you will do it because you are formed like clay by nature, and you will conform to what's relevant for you to do. And I know that because that's what you're cut from. That's the cloth that you're cut from. So when you know what to do, you will do it. Do you need a liaison? Absolutely. But once you get to that place and you get into that headspace, the next thing that I'm going to share with you will show you that you also have the ability to not only do it, but permeate in the market space of fighting. The only thing that's standing between you and that is knowing exactly what needs to be done. Because guess what? You'll go run 3 miles, 4 miles. Think about that last run where you got to the 3 mile mark and you did another mile. Then you slid into the second. Because see, that's what you'll do when you know what to do. You'll go above and beyond the call of duty. That's what you will do. And so that's what we want all of you guys to understand. There's no class being taught on what are the requirements and the necessities for an athlete who was trying to build himself up and be respected in the sport as a star fighter, a person that's going to have the doors open whenever they have the ESPYs, you get the invitation. You want to walk the red carpet because when you're doing all those miles in the snow and in the heat, when you're getting up and you can't eat crap or drink and your friends are partying and hanging out and dating all these different people and going to the clubs, if you're a real champion, you're not doing all of that stuff. And that's the facts, because that's the stuff that's going to determine how long you will reign as champion. As a couple of the former champions in the recent era, what happened when they partied too hard, like Arturo Gotti's father told him, hey, son, you either going to be a rock star or you're going to be a fighter. You can't be both. And he chose. And Buddy McGirt, who came on the fight show, special shouts out to Buddy McGirt, told him, hey, man, you can either go play golf after you fight, or you can go to the hospital. Which is it going to be? You can't train and think you can just go to war every time you fight. So there are just certain things that you got to be ready to do, willing to do, and able to do, and grow up. Put your big boy pants on. But the next thing, as I said, I was going to share with you, is you got to have assigned tasks for your team. Because see, when I show you guys the list that I'm going to show you during this stream that we're going to do next week, I'm going to show you the task that I did, and you're going to look at everybody else's tasks. And that works against you when the word I said is that works against you when you are gifted with talents and you have been exposed to more things. That means I have more range to do more, and that's not always a good thing. But God don't make mistakes, and whatever he gave you, he gave it to you for a reason. And so that's why I'm making sure that I said these guys don't understand. Then here KSI is coming on with these misfits, and he's teaching these guys, whether they're YouTubers or whatever, guys who have a dream to box and have particular pedigrees. And a recent young man who won in the Olympic qualifiers but didn't get chosen went on and fought last week here in Miami, right? And he is going to be a fighter that's gone in, but he's going to understand how to the complexity of a business, of this business side. So he's going to know what to do. So I'm going to teach y'all what to do, just like I would if you were under my tutelage. I'm going to teach you that you need to learn how to do these things so that you can be box office, because guess what happens when you can throw them hands? You can create that sizzle. You can give them that Mike Tyson buzz and create that aura of invincibility, because everything you touch turns to gold. And then you know how to build a team and create a buzz and start chatter. And then the next thing, after you learn to assemble a team, and that's all about having enough people within your gym, and then extending, because there was Earl was our matchmaker, and we had Bill Clancy. Y'all know him. He's referee, famous referee, just like, all of the people that are currently like the Mills Lanes. He's one of those guys, and you know him when you see him. And assembling people that know who you are, they understand what your team operates like. You got to know people who in the world of the sanctioning bodies, the judges. You got to know the political people on the side of the things, because you have to be able to play the politics of boxing, which if you don't know, you're going to get burnt by them. So we don't want you guys to be burnt by them. So this education is going to be real. So if you're a coach working with people, you might want to know this stuff. So, but assembling the team, I'm going to make sure that you guys have kind of like a checklist on what you need to do, how you need to go about it. And if you got questions, you can ask me on the feed, because you'll be able to pop questions inside of the comment boxes on the Zoom call. So let me see. What's up? What's up, champ? Yeah, amen. But the next thing you're going to need to know is, guess what? Because you got two more things that's left on the list. But what else do people watch for? I'm going to give you an example, and I want you guys to type it in the comment boxes if you know the answer to this. This guy was going to fight an absolute killer. All right. This guy he went up a weight class. He fought 2 weight classes up. This was recent. His name was Jamel Charlo, and he decided to go up from 154 to 168 and fight Canelo. What was that? Somebody type the word, what was that? In the comment boxes, whoever gets it right, we're going to give you a $15,000 gift certificate today. If you type the right word, 3, 2, 1. The time is 7:23 Eastern Standard Time. If you type something and it's right before that time, we will acknowledge it and we will get it. The word is risk. You got to take a risk. Sugar Ray Leonard went up to fight Marvelous Marvin Hagler. He took a risk and he won. You got to have a risk. People have to say, oh my gosh, is he crazy? That's a buzz that's relevant. That's a buzz that gets people talking. That's the kind of component that makes a fight tilt towards super fight, even if it was kind of on borderline. Because there are some fights that were, as of late, that weren't quite super fights, and then something tipped it. Ryan Garcia stands on the scale drinking a beer. Ryan Garcia talks about children being kidnapped. Ryan Garcia goes a little antics, throws all these different antics out here. This is what this is all about. It's about tipping the scale, knowing how to do it, owning it, and leaning into it. And don't just talk about it, but you got to be about it. Or you can be smooth. You can be chill. You can be like Andre Ward, who's benefiting even more on this side of career. Because to be honest, I think the game let Andre Ward down because they were supposed to say, we got you. And they were supposed to build that thing around him because he was the last gold medal Olympian in the United States. That was 2004 when my coach was coaching the Olympics. That's crazy. 20 years for a male to have gotten a gold medal. So there we are. That's modern times. The Olympics has their own agenda, and they allowed someone who brought greatness to the game to literally say, hey, we'll forget what we need to do. But when Sugar Ray Leonard, Oscar De La Hoya, all of those guys, when they were in the Olympics, Muhammad Ali, there was this carpet rolled out. And I just don't feel like they did it for Dre. And, lo and behold, that's the game. But bless him, because I know now things are just working for him. And he did get the bag. And there was always these things that it was like always these little sleight of hands when you just want to be a person. But that's okay. So you guys are going to get the education. That's what Master Boxing here for. The School of Boxing is all about teaching. And so we're going to teach you how to be a fight star if you allow us to. So the next final thing that you will need to know how to do, and I think when you think about this, it's just kind of, I don't know. I just think really we think about this conversation came up because I see a lot of things happening around the sport. But then I saw Floyd Mayweather, who today still knows how to put on an event. And that event over in Mexico right now is happening. It's packed. Just like it would be if it was in Vegas. But it's in Mexico and they love fans. And he sat there with Gotti and they did interviews, and It just goes to show you when you know it, you know it. Like these other guys, and he knows it, and he's laughing all the way to the bank that you guys don't quite understand, but I'm going to teach you because they say Michael Jackson said it, people say it. If you see something wrong, you look at the man in the mirror. Don't look for somebody else to fix it. You look for the man in the mirror. So if you have not subscribed to masterboxingllc.com, I'm going to put it up here on the screen so you'll see it. And you can go directly to it, or you can type any word like skills, or you can type school, and you can go. If you want to take part in this, because this is going to be next week, I think we may do it on Wednesday, but the conversation is just going to be for the people who are in the fight game at a professional level who really want to understand how to assemble a team. And I told you, your personal team must be 12 people. And I'll show you how to, who they are, what roles they play. And then I'm going to show you what has to happen as an extension of your business team. So to make it fun, to make it happen. So you can put on super fights, and super fights are cool. But there's what we call a remedy. That's why Floyd always knew he was going to make another $100 million, even though he wasn't going to fight the same caliber of guy, because it's just the framework of a business to do that. So that's it, man. That's all I got. I just wanted to jump in and say that, and I'll put this other clip of this Eddie Hearn conversation on the page. But all you guys, just enjoy yourself. All of the people who have subscribed, thanks a lot. I think we've gained like 3,000 new people just in the past 2 days over here on Metaverse. And so we appreciate you. And thanks for all of the people who are taking our polls over on across the social media platforms, because what we're trying to do is find out what you guys are lacking, and that's why we can do shows like this, talking directly to the things that's bothering you most. So of course I've been picking your brain. You've been giving me information about you, and that's giving me kind of like a cheat sheet to say, all right, let me attack the problems. And this is a problem and we're going to attack it. So if you guys, I don't know, I'm really considering watching this Mayweather fight tomorrow though. There's not a lot happening, but there is a match going on down here in Hollywood, Florida, and might do something. I don't know. Check it out, but it might be tonight. But, just remember, the world is going to be yours. All you have to do is put the ingredients that you have into a bowl and make sure you got everything balanced out. Make sure you have the team built. Make sure you're committed to your process, and make sure that you're giving. And when you do all of those things, the world is going to pay it forward back to you. Don't want and don't just take, but wake up in the morning and focus on what can I do for somebody. There's never been a time that you've done something for someone and you felt bad afterwards. That always makes you feel good. You immediately get a dopamine rush, and that hormone transitions through your whole day, and you start doing one thing after the next. Anytime you do one of those kind acts of generosity in that manner, there's nothing that can take you down that day. So keep those things up. Continue to follow for more. And until next time we have this conversation again, Coach Bradley signing out. This is Eric A. from MasterBoxingLLC.com. I'll see you guys all soon in the Winner Circle group over on Facebook, and our broadcast Winner Circle over on Instagram. It's free. So if you like good buzz and you like good news and tips every day, holla at your boy on IG. Peace.